Hey there, Internet. We got one for you today. What we have today is the Tribird. So we're going to bring the Hummingbird along for the ride here because there's some things I want to say about the Hummingbird as it relates to the Tribird. But let's see what we got. So we've got this wonderful little box. Really dig what's going on with the box, or at least the concept and the idea behind the box, because, and I think they were kind of up against the gun because they had a tremendous box first time around. Really, really wonderful box this time around. I tell you, that cough, man, just won't go away. So they kind of had a lot to live up to. So they've got this wonderful little box, and it's got a little screw here so that you can, whoop, oh, and a little magnet, oop, and we're giving it away. Yeah, that's right, we picked it up in brass. So this is definitely a first look because I just got this yesterday. But there she is, Tribird. So let's first take a look. And you can see we've got pretty much identical arms. And if you line up the buttons, right, it's pretty much identical, just a 3-arm version. So it obviously executed well to a 3-arm version, so that's good. And you know what? I don't have my scale with me, and I didn't weigh this beforehand. It definitely feels a little heavier. I'd say this probably feels in the, my guess is going to be 85-gram range, but we'll just throw it right there so you guys know exactly what it is. And I also got it in brass. I wanted to try something in brass, and I wanted to see their brass finish because I love their stainless steel stonewash finish. I just love how they came out. And they nailed it here. So here we have it. So really, really beautiful stonewash finish on this guy. So, but let's get it out of the way. I've got a couple negative things to say, and then we can get on all the good stuff. That's right, I got a couple negative things to say about this, guys. Get over it. End of the day, it's still worth it. But we try to, I'm going to try to do a better job as well of trying to at least find something constructive or negative to say about every spinner. Just so I make sure I'm really looking for that stuff, because I feel like I've been fair with a lot of the spinners that I review. But I think, you know, with that sort of feedback, if people are really paying attention, if I have that sort of influence, you know, we use our power for good, right? So let's take a look. So first things first, the box. So for me, it's the real subtle attention to detail when you get it right that I really appreciate. You know, like this, for example. How this, you know, is cut. This arm here is cut out a little further on this side than it is here, so that this can fit all the way in and sit flush. You know, this, the way that is, it's got this little felt pad in there. Right, it's total package, it's attention to detail. Now I kind of feel like they got a little too big for their britches and maybe grew too fast and had to try to make too much, because it feels, the packaging anyway, feels just a little rushed. For me, aesthetically, this little plain little stainless steel screw, I don't know, it just kind of stands out and just doesn't jive with the rest of it. Again, we're getting nitpicky here when I am trying to say something constructive. That's a real minor thing. What's a bigger thing for me is two things. One, and I've tried lining up magnets in my little other hobby, right, with my little Warhammer guys. I can tell you that lining up magnets is a pain, but the box lid is off ever so slightly. See that? It overhangs a little bit. And again, that's a pretty minor thing. That's not too bad, but if you're really feeling it and really appreciate it, if you kind of push it right into place, it will kind of stay there, but it really wants to set off ever so slightly. Again, pretty minor thing. The bigger things for me anyway is the finishing on the inside of the box. So this sort of stuff here, now that's easy enough for me to go in and fix. But it's that sort of little attention to detail that doesn't have an issue on this guy. The other is the rounding on this. Because it's rounded, it's actually pretty rough when it goes against the grain. Like, I don't know if you can really hear how smooth that is. So it's really rough around the outside. Like, it almost feels like, not like I'm going to get a sliver per se, but like it's just a really rough finish, and it's like a rough cut instead of kind of being sanded down. Now I know this is just the box and doesn't matter a whole lot, and I'd rather, you know, at the end of the day, I'd probably rather have something like this than have to charge an extra $10 for the extra 30 minutes it takes to put a good sand around the outside and really take the edges down on this. But it's just something that takes away when you've got such a wonderful presentation, and you had a wonderful presentation here. You know, it's for me, it's a little sad to see this fall down a little bit. So this is nowhere near the case that this was. And it's mainly just from a slight finishing standpoint. So it is what it is. Whoops. All right. Let's get on to the spinner. So one of the reasons why the spinner feels maybe a little rushed is two things. One, and I didn't really notice this until after I had spun it for a few hours, so it's really not as bad as it's going to look. But she's got some balance issues. Now, it's not that bad. Right, so if I put it this way, was it? I think this way makes it spin even more, look further off. It's not too bad, and when you're spinning it, you can't even really tell. The only time I really noticed is I had done a couple spin time tests with these. I guess we can get that out of the way. It should say, let's get under the hood here since we're talking about spin time. She comes with, I'm 99% sure this is the SBV2 from Hex Super. It's a Hex Super bearing, but I'm pretty sure it's the SBV2 that they're running, that they're rocking. So you know she's going to be smooth. You know she's going to be smooth, so there it is. Get out of there. Get out of there. You know what we do when we have that problem, we just, yep, push it out. All right. So she's got the Hex Super bearing in there. And again, really, really gorgeous finish, except for this one little bit here. And I don't know what that is. You can see the machine marks a little bit more right there. And then there's just some dark, I don't know if just something got in there and in the machine and rubbed in. And it's a shame because the buttons are small and they don't really cover it up. So again, from that respect, just it kind of feels rushed. And again, if it were me on the outside looking in, I can forgive most of that. And I know they're trying to get a decent spinner out there, and they're trying to make a lot of them to get them out to people. So I'm fine with that to a degree. Just again, to me, what it feels like from the outside looking in is that they were rushed. They were like, man, we're really successful. A lot of people are going to want this. We're going to need to make a lot more, guys. All right, knuckle down, get it done. And you know they've got to draw the line somewhere if they're going to get these manufactured. They're going to get them out and they're going to get them shipped on time. So for the most part, it doesn't really bother me. But I did want to at least point out those negatives. I think I spent way too much time talking on them because it really is going to make it sound like it's a poor spinner, and that is not the case at all. Because she's a beaut. She is a gem. So we were just about to talk spin time. So with a Hex Super bearing in there, 5 minutes, 22 seconds on a table spin, 6 minutes and 30 seconds on a vertical spin. So she's got the spin time. But on this guy, honestly, spin time is not what you care about. This is like, this is what this kind of reminds me of is sort of like a high-end Zen-Tri. The Zen-Tri is really light, it's really fidgetable, it's really fast, and it's pretty plain and pretty simple. This reminds me a lot of those characteristics, where it's really nice to fidget with. It's got this great asymmetrical design. Now more so, and I don't know if this is to do with the brass, or the extra weight, or the tri-form, but more so than the Hummingbird, this seems to matter which direction you have it. So when I have it like this, the poles are great. If I flip it around, poles are still great because of the way this kind of almost comes to a point like this, and if I'm reaching farther out, I can't really tell. If I'm reaching in and get too far in, it doesn't actually quite pull as well here. My finger kind of wants to get stuck in there before it releases, where I don't have that issue here. It just pulls really well. Flicks as well. If I'm getting my finger in far and flicking off, it's great. If I'm getting my finger in here and flicking off, it's actually great as well. It actually catches really nice here when I pull it back in to then flick out. But if I get this side just kind of wrong, it can kind of hit my cuticle a little bit. And it's not like really bad, but if I get it more out here, as opposed to like right in up against and further in on my finger than right here, this way can get a little uncomfortable fidgeting out. And it's not bad, but it just means I've got to get more like my knuckle in than my fingertip. But if I flip it around like this, that's not an issue at all. Pulls are really good. This style is fantastic. It's got, if you catch it here and you push it down, it catches there to flick out. And the same could be said the other way. Like it pulls in, it's just got these nice little rounded, everything's rounded too, right? No chamfers, really rounded. Almost like, you know what else it kind of reminds me of? Maybe like a mini talisman. Like if the talisman were smaller, it's got that sort of fidgetability. Again, the cuts are different, but they perform a very similar function. So throws really well, good for light fidgets. When you try and do like just those little light pulls, it still wants to get moving. It's got a different sound. Here, let's get this out for the sound, because the sound was something I talked about before. Now, again, I don't know if this has to do, for the most part, I find brass makes a higher pitch. It seems to kind of sing and make a little bit more noise, but it's a little bit slightly lower of a tone, where the stainless steel makes a higher pitch noise. So let's listen. Sorry for in the camera. Stop camera. See, there's a little bit more of that like ringing and singing. And it definitely has a different bearing in it too, but there's a different sound that you get with stainless steel. I guess, you know, the ringing that it kind of does, I guess, is a little higher pitch than what I was thinking in my head. So, I guess there's kind of a high pitched noise to kind of how it cuts through the air, but this actually kind of gets like a ringing sound. So, in any event, they do sound a little different. So, compare and contrast. Oops, we gotta put that in the right way. So the Hummingbird by MTE Designs, Matt Easton? I should really pay attention to who the names of the people that make this. And I don't think I've got the box nearby. So anyway, the guy's name is Matt. Seems like a good guy. They really seem to listen to the people and are putting out a good product. So I apologize for spending so much time on the negatives. If you made it this far, you probably care about the spinner. It is a good spinner. The time comes now to recommend, would I buy this spinner? Can I recommend you buy the spinner? Well, I did buy the spinner. This isn't one that was given to me or borrowed. And I'm happy with my purchase. So I absolutely can recommend this guy. If you like the Hummingbird, chances are you're going to like this. If you kind of like the look of the Hummingbird, but you're a try guy, well, now you can be happy. It is $80 in brass and $100 in stainless steel, where this is $60 in brass and $80 in stainless steel. So it's just a straight $20 jump. To go from the bar to the try. And, oh, you know what I was going to do, and we are still going to do it. I've been meaning to do this. Let's switch the shoes on them. I wanted to reverse the shoes. I think the contrast would look nice on both of them. So I think the stainless steel with the brass buttons is going to look good. This is a longer video than I thought it would be. Oh, you know what? Okay, here's the thing. Man, I hope you guys really stuck around for this video because there's something I needed to say on this. And I bumped my camera again. Sorry, y'all. So there's something about the Hummingbird that I realized makes that I can tell you is an amazing spinner to have and to fidget with, right? If you get these spinners because you need to have something to fidget to keep your hands busy and to keep you distracted, oh, look how good that looks. I'm really sad that I didn't have this for my top 10 video like this. Look at that. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby, baby. So I had this in my hands when I was fidgeting last night, watching TV, playing on the iPad. And I don't know, there was a certain point where I was like, I completely forgot that this was in my hand. And I had been fidgeting with it the whole time. So I just completely forgot that this was there. I can just mindlessly fidget away at this guy, which is a huge, huge thing that I don't know if I've really noticed with any. I've definitely not noticed with any other spinner. I'm sure other spinners have that characteristic, but this was the first time I really noticed it. I was like, man, I've just been jamming on this and completely forgot it was in my hand, despite the fact that I was jamming on it. My mind was just mindlessly going away with my hand at this while I was, just doing other things, which I thought was, oh, that's kind of cool. And then, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, same thing happened again. All of a sudden, I was like, man, I've been jamming on this, completely forgot it was in my hand, which is a very interesting thing for me, which is something I'm going to be on the lookout more for, and I think add to my reviews as I find more spinners that do that, because I think that's an important thing that I'm just now noticing. So we're going to be on the lookout for that, y'all. But Tribird by MTE, fantastic spinner, definitely worth the money. If you're thinking about it, if you like the look, if it's in the budget, this is one you won't be disappointed with. An A+ world-class spinner. So love what they're doing out there. Again, if you guys can get the amount that you've got to deliver under control and can take a few extra minutes just to sand this down here. If your quality control can catch and fix something like this, I don't know what's involved in fixing it. I'd hate to see you scrap it for all of that, but I don't know, it's just kind of an annoying thing when the finish is so beautiful, and I know you guys pride yourselves on the machining that you do, and it is really well machined. The balance, I actually don't mind. I was starting to say this, the balance, that little bit of wobble, I really only feel when I get a good two-handed flick going like that. That's really the only time I feel the wobble. Otherwise, it feels pretty smooth despite being off balance. So we were kind of all over the place for this video. I think we get the total picture if you stuck all the way through it. So, but if you just watched a few minutes and tuned out, well then, screw you. You missed out. Anywho, Tribird. Kisses, y'all. I was really hoping it would just swing in there for the end. Oh well, what are you gonna do?